Welcome back to Getting Our Hearts Right. In our first video, we had an introduction to some barriers to good relationships. Our second video featured the first key to improving those relationships, humility. Today, we're going to talk about the second key. Compassion connects our hearts. The meaning of compassion: feeling what someone else is feeling and wanting to help, being sensitive to the struggles and suffering of others. The well-known story of the Good Samaritan is an excellent example of compassion. The Samaritan stopped to help the Jewish man who had been robbed, beaten, and left for dead. It's the modern-day equivalent of a member of Al-Qaeda stopping to help an American. Another example is a high school basketball player saved a young man in a wheelchair who was being crushed by an excited crowd during a game celebration on the court. He saw the young man suffering, and he saved him by helping him. Compassion is a choice of the heart. We're not just victims of our feelings. How do you feel when your rival or opponent has bad luck? Our usual response is, "Serves 'em right. She got what she deserves." The compassionate response, though, would be, "Ouch, that's too bad." So how do we cultivate compassion? Consider this story between Hannah and Emily. On their way to the playground, Hannah and Emily needed to cross a street. When they got to the crosswalk, Emily stopped, and Hannah ran into the street where she was hit by a passing car. Fortunately, the car was traveling slowly, but she still lay in the road with painful scrapes. What should we do? Hannah had acted foolishly. Maybe we should give her a lecture about looking before crossing streets. Maybe we should give her a timeout. Those heartless responses lack compassion. The right response, the compassionate response, is to do everything we can to comfort Hannah and to get her healing started. It does not matter that she was foolish. When people are hurting, we show them compassion. Compassion is not about deserving, but is about needing. One of the great ironies of compassion is that we were born with natural compassion, but as we grow, we learn to be even more selective, offering it to maybe only our family and friends. It becomes for the us's and not for the them's. So how do we cultivate this? The first step is staying peaceful. Stay peaceful, for example. I can be annoyed and critical when I come home to a messy house, or I can jump in and help. Don't dwell on distress. Declare peace rather than war. Taking time outs to cool down is okay. What are some ways we react poorly when we are in conflict? Maybe we're critical or show contempt. We may become defensive, or we may withdraw. How can we avoid these behaviors and stay peaceful? Record your thoughts in the reflection box on page 7 if you're following along with our handout. You can pause the video and take your time to record these. When you're ready, restart the video. The second step in cultivating compassion is to recognize that your perceptions are not the whole story. People do what they do for reasons that make sense to them. When their actions don't make sense to us, it is because we don't understand them. We tend to hear only our own music. We have no idea what tune is playing on their iPod. Record your thoughts in the reflection box on page 7. Again, you can pause the video to take time to collect your thoughts and record them. When you're ready, restart the video. The third step to cultivating compassion is to listen and understand the feelings of others. Here's a story of Jenny and her husband. Jenny had gotten home from work late and looked at the clock. Ouch! Her husband would be there any minute. He was a long-distance truck driver who was gone 3 to 4 days at a time. He was due back from his latest trip at 6 p.m. or so. Her tradition was to celebrate the beginning of several days together with a special dinner. She loved doing it. She would even light candles and use their only linen tablecloth. But now she only had 15 minutes to start a meal and get everything else ready. At 6:15, she was actually relieved that he still had not arrived. It gave her the chance to get the food going. Nevertheless, all too soon, she heard the air brakes bleat as he brought the 18-wheeler to a stop in front of the house. She bit her lip. She could imagine him taking off his boots in the utility room, hanging up his coat, and calling out to her. She knew his face would fall when he saw the half-set table and no food. The door opened, the boots were unlaced, and the coat was hung up. He called out, "Hey, Jenny." She automatically yelled back, "Hi, hon." She inhaled in anticipation of his disappointed look as he glanced around the corner into the kitchen. He looked at the table. He gazed up at her, broke into a big smile, and bellowed, "Well, it looks like I have gotten home just in time to help." All Jenny's fears dissolved. How many times have we wished that that would have been the response to us? Compassion involves turning towards another person rather than turning away from or against them. In the story above, the trucker turned towards his wife, and it made all the difference. It calmed her fears. Two important parts of turning towards others are being willing to listen past the edge of their voice and responding to their hopes and dreams for the future. We'll stop here today. There are still several activities that you can complete involving compassion. Hope you will take this evening to finish those activities in your handout starting on page 8. Tomorrow we will discuss the third key, positivity. Positivity inspires our hearts. Thank you for joining, and please complete the survey link in the comments section of the post.